The classic cat and mouse for the ages are back. Tom and Jerry in their first full-length theatrical movie, which you can also see, by the way, on HBO Max for the next few weeks. Let's talk about 2021's new movie, Tom and Jerry. Hey everybody, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for finding my video. If you do like this video, please consider subscribing or liking or sharing. All of that stuff helps out the channel, and I do appreciate it. So let's talk about this movie, Tom and Jerry, in this standalone, spoiler-free review of the film, which, like I said, you can watch now on HBO Max, or you can see it in theaters as well. As you can see, I dressed for the occasion, my Tom and Jerry shirt. I think I got this from Boscos years ago because I'm just always a Tom and Jerry fan since I was young, and still to this day love their antics. But how did the movie fare? Let's find out. Well, first of all, let's just look at the shirt, because this is the classic Tom. He is a gray character, as we see in the shirt. However, in this movie, he's blue. Not like a deep blue or anything, but he's definitely bluer than here, and I guess that's obviously just because it's a little more eye-popping these days than having him be gray. But whatever the case, I mean, it didn't detract me from the movie. Other than that, the look of Tom and Jerry are very, very well done. It's very reminiscent of those shorts, and I don't think it's hand-drawn animation. I think it's just like the Lego movie. I think it's just CGI that is designed to look like the classic hand-drawn animation. And I think they pull that off. I think they do a very good job of making these characters look pretty much the way we remember them. A lot of the things now have to be updated versions. Like I just saw the new preview for the Rugrats show that's coming to Paramount Plus, and it's like, they look very different from the Rugrats I knew from the 90s. But so I like that they kept the style of Tom and Jerry the same. And so the plot of this movie essentially is Jerry is moving into New York City's finest hotel on the weekend of this big, huge, like, wedding of the century. It's Parita, and I forget the guy. It's like Ben or something, but it's Pavati Sharda and Colin Jost, and I think it's essentially supposed to be some sort of like Priyanka Chopra and Joe Jonas, or whatever Jonas brother she married. Like, I think it's supposed to be something like that. Like, it's not necessarily a royal wedding, but it's like a huge wedding with these millionaire, rich tabloid people that we can all look at and envy and all of this. So I think that's sort of the template for those characters. And anyway, Tom shows up because he is trying to get Jerry, of course, as always, because Jerry sort of messed up one of his grifts earlier on in the movie. So Tom shows up to the hotel, and everybody else, by the way, is live action. All the animals in the movie are animated. All of the humans and the surroundings are live action. So you've got Chloe Grace Moretz here and Michael Pena as hotel workers. Rob Delaney plays the boss, and Patsy Ferran plays this sort of bizarre bellhop girl named Joy. And so Tom basically gets hired. Well, first Chloe Grace Moretz's character gets hired by the hotel because she's I don't know if she's homeless or what her story is, but she's certainly looking for work. She steals somebody's resume, don't tell mom the babysitter's dead kind of style, and gets a job here. And she can't catch the mouse on her own. She's having issues, so she hires this cat named Tom, and hilarity ensues, hijinks ensue, the gags, the whole bit. So that's the basic premise of the movie. We have to not mess up this wedding, and how are we going to do that when we have a mouse problem? And now we've kind of got a cat problem too. So the movie is funny, but it is just basically a litany of all the recycled gags from the old shorts. And not all of them, of course, because there's too many, but also some of them you can't really do today because they're a little too violent. And because of that, this is definitely a toned down Tom and Jerry. Yeah, there's some violence that is a little bit, like, all right, you're throwing irons at each other and, this and that and the other thing. But nothing like we've seen in some of the shorts from the 40s and stuff, or the itchy, scratchy cartoons that make fun of it in The Simpsons. So it's definitely tamped down a little bit for a more 21st century audience of kids. And that's okay. That I don't really mind, because really, they're playing the hits. Tom and Jerry don't talk. Thankfully, I was afraid of them talking. Everybody else around them talks, including the animals. There's birds that sing and talk. Spike is here. He's the dog of Colin Jost's character. And he talks, which I didn't really remember him talking from the cartoon, but my nephews were like, oh, yeah, he talks. So, all right. I guess I didn't watch enough Spike cartoons back in the day. But Tom and Jerry do not talk, so happy about that. Tom and Jerry are not friends. Happy about that. Sometimes they're friends in these movies, and it's very annoying. They are not. Now, Kayla, Chloe Grace Moretz's character, does try to get them to sort of have a truce so the wedding can go off without a hitch. And that goes about as well as you would expect, but they are not friends. So rest assured, it's not these recent direct-to-DVD movies from 10-15 years ago where they're buddies and they're whatever, Tom and Jerry Wizard of Oz and like all that garbage. This is not that. This is definitely more of an homage to those original shorts. The big negatives of this movie are that it brings nothing new to the table, for one thing. So, the old recycled gags, they're fine and they're funny. But, are they funnier than in the shorts from 70 years ago? They're really not. It's the same kind of stuff, and it's fine, it's funny. But because it's a whole movie around it, this is not just the Tom and Jerry gag hour, which probably doesn't make for a good movie, which is why they're great 7-minute shorts. But when you throw a plot in there and you throw all these live actors around them, some, by the way, which don't really know how to play off of a cartoon animal that's not there, it gets a little bit more messy. And so basically, whenever Tom and Jerry aren't on the screen, it's sort of like, all right, well, I don't really like any of these people. They're all kind of annoying. Most of them aren't funny. Patsy Ferran as Joy is probably the best of the live action characters. She only shows up sporadically in the movie, but that's sort of the gag. But she's a little quirky weirdo, and she has some funny lines and some interesting ideas of how to get rid of the problem. But and Chloe Grace Moretz is fine here. I like her as an actress, and she plays okay off of the fake animals that aren't really there. And so that's okay. But she keeps throwing herself, I feel like, in these weird CGI type roles, and I don't know. I just like her more as a straight ahead actress, I guess. But I do like her. She's fine. Michael Peña's okay. I go back and forth on how he is with the characters that aren't there. And then Jordan Bolger is in this too as a bartender. He sort of has a little crush on Kayla and everything, and he tries to help her with the problem. He doesn't really interact with the animals much, though, so I can't speak to that. But he's an okay actor, I guess. I don't really know him. But the problem is when Tom and Jerry aren't on the screen, the entertainment level and the interest level in this movie drops. And I think pretty decently, too. And then when they are in it, it's funny, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. But it is all pretty much recycled gags. And I was thinking about, okay, when the Peanuts movie came out a few years ago, that was basically a greatest hits of the Peanuts, all sort of recycled stuff. And I think the difference maybe is that was nothing but, the stuff that we know and love. It was all animated. It was all the characters in every scene, Here, yeah, it's Tom and Jerry the movie, and certainly they have a lot going on in this movie with the cat and the mouse, but all the live action stuff just doesn't measure up, and I think even my youngest nephew was a bit bored with that stuff in the movie. He's 8, or maybe he's 9 now. But even he was a little bit bored when the cat and mouse weren't on the screen, and I can see why. I think for adults, like myself, who grew up on these Tom and Jerry cartoons, and they were old then. I mean, they were 40 years old when I was watching them. it will have some nice, reminiscing qualities, but on the whole, I think you'll be left feeling like, well, I could have watched that in the 7 minute short and save myself an hour and a half of time, not having to deal with Michael Pena and Colin Jost and whatever. So this movie for me was a disappointment. I can't deny that. I think you're better off to stick with the shorts. Personally, I do like the look of the characters. I applaud Warner Brothers for not really CGIing them up. I know it is probably CGI, but they made them look classic, and I really do appreciate that. And I appreciate that they were violent enough to satisfy that, quality. But overall, this was a disappointing film. I leave Tom and Jerry 2021 with a C minus. Sorry to say it. All right, that will do it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you back here for more movie reviews next time on Dan Reviews It. Bye.